Hey, Meghann Scully, and this is the Limerick Post Show. And join me now is Rory Nolan. How are you keeping? What is thought to?
Told me come on, it's pain.
Oh, sure, Anima. So we are down here in Limerick, and of course, the reason we're talking, Mr. Ross O'Carroll Kelly, the Rossmeister.
That's it, yeah.
How long is it? Is it 12 years? I'm right. That you've been playing Ross.
It's 14 years.
14 years. Oh my God.
14 years I have been playing Ross, and he's been a big, I suppose he's been a really big part of my performing life from that time. Back in 2007, we did the first show called The Last Days of the Celtic Tiger, prophetically titled. I went into, I think it was the Olympia Theatre. My agent rang and said, look, they're doing this Ross O'Carroll Kelly play. Do you want to go in and meet Anne Clark, who I'd worked with before? She's a powerhouse and one of the great producers we've ever had here in Ireland. And she was producing the show, so I went to meet her and Jimmy Fay, who's been directing since, who I'd worked with as well. And of course, Paul Harold, who wrote the plays. And I remember looking at the script that I had to read and go in. And I thought, wow, you know, this is not a self-compliment, but I was reading it going, God, I'm really going to have to make balls of this not to get it. So I did the audition, and I met Paul and I met everyone, and it went well. And I got a phone call that afternoon saying, right, we're good to go. And that was 14 years ago, around this time, 14 years ago, I think. And yeah, so here we are, 4 stage plays later, and each one of them have come back. And yeah, Postcards from the Ledge. It's I don't know, would you say it's the culmination of 14 years? I'm not sure, but it's a great piece, and it's great fun as well to do. So Ross has been a huge part of my performing life. I've enjoyed every minute of playing.
I think as well, you know, when you think, I remember Ross O'Carroll Kelly, I suppose, really first burst onto the scene, and it ruffled quite a lot of feathers. And I believe, was it Riles Nugent who one time people were saying, you're Ross O'Carroll Kelly? And I think it kind of ruffled definitely a lot of D4 feathers at the time. Yeah,
I think, I'm not sure. I know a few things, but Paul is the man to talk to about that. But I think certainly, at one stage people thought it could have been Brian O'Driscoll writing it, and then people thought it was Riles Nugent. And Paul kept fairly stum for, I think, the first few years when he was writing it. But what's interesting about that is that if he ruffled some feathers, then the people who he was having a go at, or having a laugh at, became his audience, his largest audience. And that's one of the things that Paul's credit, and to Ross's credit, and to his immense talent as a writer, is that everyone in Ireland knows someone like Ross, or knows that kind of situation, or knows someone who's slightly, who's got a good heart, but maybe the head is in the wrong place. And he's transcended, all sorts of Irish cultures and communities. And he's kind of like a national phenomenon.
And I think as well, I know we're saying there about Leinster, I know it was a lot of kind of, there is obviously a lot of Leinster rugby and the D4 slang, but like, as I said, like, we're here in Limerick, and there's certainly some of those accents that have come down from Dublin and have made their way in around a lot of cities and counties around Ireland as well, and people who were never from Dublin or even spent time in Dublin.
Yeah, it is amazing. You find it everywhere. I mean, we travelled this show to Galway, Limerick, and Cork, and I think we played Breaking Dad in Limerick as well, in UTH. And what's amazing is that while people they really relate to the character and the characters on stage and the kind of satirical world that Paul has created, they laugh at different things. So when we played the show in Dublin, remember there was a mention of Avoca hand weavers, which no one paid much attention to. They were to the gag, but the minute Avoca hand weavers was mentioned in Cork or Limerick, there was a huge laugh, because that was associated for some reason with the kind of D4 set. But it's always been amazing to me how well the other counties and everyone all over Ireland has taken Ross to their heart, and has sort of an assimilation with the characters, and can understand where they're coming from and who they are. Everyone, I mean, Limerick is a huge rugby town.
Yeah.
Obviously. with an amazing rugby legacy and history and all that. So I think people really, latch onto that one. But also, it's fun to see this twit from South County Dublin falling around, making an arse of himself. And it's also fun to see him succeed sometimes as well, because, these are great comedy shows, but to be perfectly honest, the comedy has to have a payoff. It wouldn't work if there wasn't a heart at the core of them all. So it's just, again, it's testament to Paul's writing. He really is. He's a bit of a genius.
He absolutely is, and I've seen him recently actually quite a few interviews as well. And I think though it's just great that because we are chatting about a live show. You're going to be live from Bray on the 15th of May, but it's going to be, everyone can watch it from any corner. And but it must be just so great for you as a comedian and actor to be getting back on the stage and actually performing again.
Oh, I don't even know where to begin. It's almost emotional, it's been really, really tough. The last, I don't know, what is it, 14, 15 months longer we've been in this, the entertainment industry and the theatre industry, especially, has taken such a hit. So it's wonderful to be able to do this. What's lovely about the live stream is that people from all over the world we know already who bought their tickets, who've been in touch, are doing a kind of thing. They're on a WhatsApp group. They're doing a Ross WhatsApp group, and some people are having barbecues.
Nice.
And then they're going to watch the show, and though they may not be in theatre together, they'll be in their homes. Someone is going to be in. I heard this earlier on. Is going to be in Sydney. Their family is going to be in, I think, Sligo or somewhere like that, and they're all going to tune in and watch together. And this is happening all the time. So this whole kind of these little communities or families or groups of people are getting together, and they're making an occasion or an event out of it, which is fantastic, because that's really what it is. It's an event. And when we stream it live on the 15th of May, so when you watch Ross on stage, he is going to be doing those things. I am going to perform that as you watch it. And that's that's really, really, really exciting for someone who's spent the last 20 years, performing live on a stage. And it's amazing how much we took that for granted. So it's lovely to be able to connect with an audience again, and hopefully everyone will tune in. And if you can't watch it live on the night, it will be on demand from the 16th to the 23rd. So we're kind of overwhelmed with the response already. So long may that continue.
I think it's great though, just you mentioned there, like, you mentioned Sydney and abroad. And I think that's one great thing about all of this going virtual is the fact that people from around the world can tune in, especially Irish abroad, because we all know how homesick they are. We all know how desperate they are to get home, because so many of them, especially in Australia, New Zealand, couldn't get home during the pandemic. And now they almost, even though they're living in Australia and everything's open and they're at festivals and they can go to actual live gigs, it's home that they want and that's what they need. And I think that's just really lovely that that group are going to watch it together from around the world. And I think there's that disconnect now, and that's the one thing this has done, that the virtual has brought the world back together again.
Yeah, 100%. And what strikes you when you perform in these live stream events is that connection that we're all going to have. And we may not be able to all congregate in a theatre at the moment, but this is the next best thing. And like I said, knowing that, first of all, you're going to get a real taste of home, a slice of Irish culture. There's so much in this that people are going to laugh at, and there's such a heart to it as well. But also that sense of connection that we're all desperately looking for. And I think, a show like this, and under the circumstances which we're letting audiences see it, is a brilliant way for people to kind of come together, albeit being apart, but they can really come together and connect with each other, and everyone can have a great laugh watching Ross through his trials and tribulations.
Oh, I think it'll be super. Of course, remind everyone, May 15th, it's on. It will be live from Bray. And then afterwards, there's going to be a Q&A with yourself and Paul, which I think will be great for people to get even more insight. And I'll leave the link for the tickets as well. And I have to say, I'm gonna ask the people of Limerick and Munster who are watching to wear their Munster jerseys on the night.
Totally. I mean, Ross probably doesn't even know the colour of Munster. Actually, that's not true. He does. He knows it all too well. But no, dude, that's fun of it, that's the fun of it.
That's all the crack is about. Your Rory Nolan, Mil Magat, Chasmus, the Limerick Post Show, letting us all know more insight into Ross O'Carroll Kelly, and we look forward to seeing the show on stage, and of course to seeing you on stage again in time to come with full crowds and people inside in theatres as well.
Super, yeah. Thanks a million, Meghann. Thanks for the chat.